Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dork Entertainment. It has been almost a month since my last video. A month and a little bit. I've actually been having some construction work, renovations happening at my house with my ceiling and a bit of painting that we've been doing. So I haven't actually had the chance to come around and make a YouTube video in a while. So I didn't think there would be much happening actually in the entertainment industry, but there has been a lot that has happened in the last month. I'm just going to do a quick recap of what's been happening in the last month or so. Some big news, some not so big news. We'll start with Comic-Con. So Comic-Con was a massive event, especially where I guess all movie lovers would know that this is where some major news sometimes is revealed. Marvel had their panel in Hall H, where they announced the Phase 4 movies for Marvel, because with the current Avengers storyline being wrapped up, we're moving on to the next phase, which is Phase 4 in the Marvel universe. Some interesting movies were announced. It's not as big as the last, phase, and there are quite a few Disney Plus live TV shows which are happening, which I'll talk about a little bit. A couple of the movies that we got, which were announced for the next 2 years or 2 to 3 years, we've got a Black Widow movie coming out. That's going to be interesting because the character of Black Widow, as we know, is actually dead. She died in Avengers Endgame. So that's going to be interesting. It might be a prequel story. So that's expected to come out in 2020. We've got the Eternals coming out. So Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie, and I believe Kit Harington is now attached to that as well. We also have Shang-Chi movie coming out. So Shang-Chi is a Marvel a character, the Legend of the Ten Rings. So that's going to come out in 2021. So it's still a fair way off. We've got a new Doctor Strange movie. So the Multiverse of Madness. That's going to be very interesting. That's also expected in 2021. So that's still a while off. It's going to be a big year, actually, 2021. We've also got Thor Part 4, which is titled Love and Thunder. So it's rumoured to have Natalie Portman take over the reins of the Thor character, whereas the previous Thor will act more as like a king sort of role. That's what it's rumoured, but we don't know what's going to happen there. So that was the main sort of movies that were announced at that time. Now, Disney also announced the Disney Plus service, which is an online subscription service. That is going to be starting in November, I believe. So that's an online Netflix type service which they're starting up. And they're going to have, the interesting thing about it is they're going to have a lot of exclusive content on there. So some of the things where, some characters where they're not really sure if they can make a really big movie out of, they are making TV series with these characters. So we're likely to see a lot more Marvel-based TV shows. We've got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that is coming also with the Disney Plus service in fall of 2020. That's next year, 2020. So that's still a while off, whereas Disney Plus launches this year. We've also got WandaVision, which is going to be very interesting. We've got Loki TV show. Now those two come out in 2021. So 2021 is looking like a very packed schedule for Marvel. We've also got a Hawkeye TV show coming on for Disney Plus in 2021 as well. They also announced What If, which is some alternate takes. It's like a collection of alternate takes in the Marvel universe. So a What If situation that's coming in summer 2021. That'll be on Disney Plus as well. And I believe they've got most of the original cast members from the Marvel movies, except for Iron Man. I don't think Iron Man actually lent his voice or was involved in any of that. Right towards the end of the conference, they did announce that Fantastic Four is confirmed So that's coming. And Blade was also announced. So that is going to be very interesting. A few people don't know that Blade is also actually part of the Marvel Universe. They didn't announce anything with X-Men. So they did announce that the Mutants movie is coming, but they didn't specifically say X-Men. So that's going to be interesting. They will eventually announce something to do with the X-Men, but they didn't announce it yet. So we're still going to have to wait for that. In other news, Sony and Marvel actually could not come to an agreement about Spider-Man. So the contract was up for talks, but they could not actually come to an agreement. Now it's rumored that Marvel / Disney actually wanted a bit more control, or I guess a bit more, with the profits. I think, I'm not sure exactly what sort of deal they have, but they did want a little bit more profit because Spider-Man is so profitable. They actually, the greed of money, I guess, comes in. People just want a Spider-Man movie, and they want a good Spider-Man movie. And unfortunately, it looks like Spider-Man may be moving out of the Marvel Universe, going back to Sony. Now, Sony, I know when Sony actually received the Marvel deal, they have to continue to make movies, Spider-Man movies, every 3 years. So that might also be impacting on what Marvel's plans are, because they've had Avengers where he was in that, and then they had Spider-Man recently, and they have a really packed schedule coming up in the next couple of years. So it's interesting that Spider-Man is going to go back, because they have also developed Venom. Now they may be thinking about a Spider-Man / Venom movie. Now we've had, in the last decade, I can't even 3 or 4 Spider-Mans now, or last 2 decades, sorry. It's just getting ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different Spider-Mans, starting with Tobey Maguire. Now we've got another version, possibly with Sony. So it is rumored that Tom Holland is likely to continue as Spider-Man, but we'll just wait and see. But who knows? Disney and Sony may actually work out a deal in the next couple of days, because they are still negotiating, I hope. In other news, Matrix 4 got the go-ahead. So Keanu Reeves finally signed on for the Matrix, the 4th part in the Matrix universe. Now, it was rumored previously that he would only really sign on if the Wachowski brothers directed the movie. Now, he signed on because Lana Wachowski has actually come on. She was actually co-writer and co-director in parts of the Matrix trilogy. So he is going to continue with that. It is also rumored that they are going to have a young Morpheus in there. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I love The Matrix. I think The Matrix is awesome. It's an interesting time for Keanu Reeves in his career, because he is going to go back and do the Bill and Ted movie, and then he's going to come back and do The Matrix after that. So it's sort of like he's actually going back in time and continuing on from his older movies. That's quite interesting. We recently had the D23 Disney conference as well. So that just recently completed. So there was a few announcements coming out of that. The Mandalorian teaser, the TV show for Star Wars, The Mandalorian, came out. So I'll be doing a reaction on that shortly. So at D23, at the Expo, they did announce a Black Panther sequel as well. So the Black Panther sequel is scheduled to come out in May 2022. So that's still quite a fair way off. But I think they're going to start filming that shortly. Disney also revealed a brand new Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker poster, which is quite interesting if you look at it closely. They've actually got the Emperor in there as well in the background. So he is back, ladies and gentlemen. The Emperor is back, or it looks like the Emperor. There was footage shown of Rise of the Skywalker. It hasn't been released yet on the internet, but I will be sure to do a reaction as soon as that comes out. So the poster, that looks absolutely brilliant, I've got to say. I didn't really mind, the first couple of Star Wars movies. some people think that they are a bit of a failure, but I actually enjoyed them. I mean, they're not as great as the original trilogy, but it's not that bad. It's a movie. You go there, you be entertained. If you have expectations, it's a bit hard sometimes. And Star Wars, it is embedded in our culture. There are Star Wars fans who want everything to be perfect, and sometimes you can't get that. Sometimes you can't get what you want. In the last Star Wars movie, they did stray a bit from that. That's where I was a little bit disappointed, but I think that J.J. Abrams will do this justice. So that's coming out at the end of the year. So we'll probably get some more footage from that shortly. A few other things announced by Marvel at the D23 Expo. So there's a She-Hulk Disney Plus TV show coming out. And Moon Knight and Miss Marvel is also coming to Disney Plus. So Disney Plus is going to be quite massive once that launches. There's a few more clips shown from Frozen 2. They focused a lot on their animation as well at the D23 Expo. Because they got quite a few movies coming out, in the animated scene. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I think we're going to have a lot of interesting things coming up in the next couple of months in terms of the entertainment business. We've got the It sequel, which is going to be brilliant. So I'll do a review of that as well. That's coming out in the next couple of weeks, so watch out for that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do apologize for the long break there. I know there are a few fans out there who have been waiting, but I will try to do them more often now. So it's good to be back. It's good to, well, not good to see anyone, but I hope you guys enjoy my reviews. I will be doing them more often. A few trailer reactions coming up as well, so stay tuned. And thanks for watching. Peace.